What's up, Humble family? Welcome to another episode of the Humble Threads podcast, episode 15. As always, I am Michael Hart.
And I am David Graves. Guys, if you enjoy the podcast, be sure to leave a rating and a written review on your podcast platform of your choice. Just like this one. Guys, I'm not going to say the name. If you want us to say the name, just put it in there. We'll do it. But for personal confidentiality, we're going to keep names out of it. But it says a wholesome show. I really enjoy this podcast. It's like hang out with friends, just talking about life. Funny and relatable. Would recommend. Listener, thank you, and we really appreciate you. And it was 5 stars. Guys, it really helps us, and it really helps us reach other people and a bigger audience. So like, review, and share it. Thank you.
All right, Dave, let's get humble. But hey, man, it's been 2 weeks since the last episode.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me, man. What's been going on in the world of Graves?
Well, for me, it's been pretty interesting. But we're gonna touch on you guys first because this is why it's interesting. We're looking at the numbers, we see the stats, we get a chart in front of us. Thank you to Anchor for providing all this information, guys. We're at 400 plays. Hit the air horn. Maybe I'll put it in post, we'll see, but that's crazy, guys. Thank you. We really appreciate you. We're only on, well, this is 15 out now is only 14, so being at 400 listens and we have 16 estimated audience people and 10 unique listeners is kind of crazy in the last 7 days. So we're looking at the stats, and guys, right when we post something, it's like immediate. It's like immediate. You guys attack it, you watch it. Even throughout the week, we can see the chart where people are still picking up some old episodes or new episodes, and it's amazing.
Right. No, for sure. It's super awesome. Thanks to everyone who's been following us over at the Pod Humble on Twitter. It's a great place to connect with us directly. Send us your listener questions, as always. But yeah, it's been super cool seeing just the repeat interest, the new faces. Our analytics do say when we have unique listeners coming in, so that means new people checking us out. There's just been so much kind of funneling towards us recently. We've been seeing the numbers. It's not going unnoticed, gang. Thank you so much for listening with us.
And just to even dive deeper into it and say that we have been noticing the age range is very interesting, guys. 28 to 34. I'm 26, about to be 27. Mike,
I'm 30.
30, Mike's 30, so there we go. It's kind of interesting. So the audience is all over, 23, 27, 35, and 44 are the next highest, so that's pretty cool. And then, of course, United States, we have the male and female stuff. But the only thing we need to ask you guys, okay, if you follow us on Twitter, if you follow us on any social media, please tell us what you are listening to our podcast on, because we have a stat for this. Now, we're going to read the stats out.
And we're talking about the device.
The device,
not necessarily the platform.
Yeah, it's weird. So we have iPhone is 47%, Android is 12%, web is 6%, Windows is 3%, other is 32%.
Yeah,
we
what is
have
it?
no idea what other is. No idea.
Right. Are the people do people still have like Zunes or something? Like where are people listening to this podcast that's not your phone, a computer, or Windows or something? I mean, who knows?
Our one friend suggested game systems.
Could be.
I don't know.
Maybe that's different. Could be. Yeah, could be Xbox or something. People listening to Spotify through their Xboxes. Or PlayStations or whatever.
No idea.
But either way, we would love to know. Please tweet at us. Hey guys, listening to you guys using my blank on this platform or whatever. Like, we'd love to know. Who knows?
Yeah. On my old 1960 radio. I have no idea, guys. We have no idea.
Yeah, super interesting stat to see.
But that being said, guys, we really appreciate you. Thank you. We love you guys. And just keeping on with the rollout before me and Mike get into our lives. We have some ideas for you guys, and we have some exciting news. Me and Mike have been talking behind the scenes, with everything growing and then the wheel turning, so to say. We have some stuff, and we're thinking about releasing a shirt that you guys could purchase and wear. Me and Mike will probably wear it on the podcast. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a little snippet for a commercial, put it on TikTok or something. That'd be fun. But let us know if you're excited about it. Mike, are you excited about this shirt? Let me know.
Dude, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about the details just yet. Once we have everything ready to go and ready to post, be sure to just go look at the Twitter. It'll be right there. The links will be available. And I'm sure myself and Dave will be sharing the links on our private stuff as well. But super pumped to get a t-shirt out there. Because it's just another way that you any of our listeners can support the show.
Yep.
It can help us, maybe improve audio equipment or just allow us to go experience more things in life together and then talk about it on the show and stuff like that.
Or we'll just be out and be like, yo, they're wearing a Humble podcast shirt. Holy crap. Like, that'd be very interesting.
Yo, yeah. And then take pictures or send them in. Like, who knows? There's lots of things that can start happening once we start building this brand of the Humble Threads.
You never know.
But enough of that. Enough of the extras. Yeah. Enough of the thank yous. Yeah. Dave, dive in. What's good in the world?
Oh man, well guys, not much has been going on. I've been talking about on the podcast. I did recently apply to a different job. I went through the whole interview process. I had to do an assessment. Mike was here watching me freak out about it. We were talking about it, but I felt as though it went pretty good. I got an email back saying thank you for making this such a quick turnaround, and we'll get right back to you. I'm kind of nervous, guys. I'm hoping that I do get this job, and that way I can show people that I am a good designer. I can do all these things, and I can make a company appreciate me, and I appreciate the company also. So we'll see. I'm guessing I'll probably know by tomorrow because they said early within this week. So if they do, I'm going to give you guys an update next time, and I'll be excited. Also, because of the money reason, this is literally the final jigsaw piece of my life is getting a steady form of income where I can pay for groceries and everything else like that. So that's what's going on. Mike heard me earlier. My dog hurt her tail. I have no idea. It's something called cold tail or something. Pardon me if I'm not using the correct terminology, but it's sore. She can't wag it. I came home last night. She was excited, but I didn't see her wagging her tail. I was like, what the heck? But so we're nursing her back to health. There's always something with her. But Mike, I did it again, Mike. I went back to the collection, just collecting some ideas and got some things going. I was watching this YouTube video where this guy's been making videos, and it's called Buy Everything Mortal Kombat. So he loves Mortal Kombat, everything. So he gets action figures and everything else like that. He's going around buying it. And I'm like, huh. And I was talking to Mike. I was like, yo, I might start making some vlogs alongside some video game stuff and put that on YouTube. Maybe we can do some Let's Plays or whatever else like that. I got inspired. Because I definitely want to start collecting more things. I love Marvel. I love superhero stuff. I love a lot of things. So I've been on a binge of that all day today since starting work, and I get a bad habit of doing that. But that is my life in a nutshell. Mike, what's going on, man?
Yeah, man. Dude, just obviously, as always, enjoying life the best that I can. Mm-hmm. Just a little over a week ago, shortly after the last episode came out, myself, David, and a couple of our friends got together at my folks' place who have a really nice pool. It's been super hot over here in the Northeast of the United States, and it's been nice to be able to jump into a pool when we could. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the day we were there, it was actually kind of chilly, and but nonetheless, we had plenty of stuff going on. Dave was rocking the table, playing some pong, water cup pong. Beer pong's gross. Yeah. Drinking beers, but water cup pong. Yeah. We played some cornhole. I definitely cleaned the floor playing some cornhole.
I'll give it to you.
And then our buddy Billy, losing a kind of a competitive bet with David, ended up taking the plunge into the cold pool. He said it wasn't so bad once he got into the pool, but and then we rounded out the night with some of the best pizza that area has to offer. Shout out to Berwyn Pizza. It's a small family restaurant that just crushes it with their pies. Something about the crust, there's something magical about it. I don't know, but it's the pizza that I was raised on because it was the closest pizza joint to my parents' place. And we just happened to order it because we were, a bunch of people hanging around a pool drinking. We needed something to soak it up, so we bought this pizza, and we housed two large pizzas. It came down to us all kind of arguing who was going to get the last slice, even though we all were well too full. But it was a good time nonetheless. I've been playing an ungodly amount of Dark Souls 2 lately. I never actually played Dark Souls 2. I played Dark Souls 1 and I played Dark Souls 3, but I skipped 2 for some reason. I don't know where I was when the game first came out, but I saw that on Steam. I think for the summer sale, the Souls whole catalog is on sale. And I think Dark Souls 2 was only $9, maybe, super cheap. Maybe it was even less. It might have been $7. So I decided to get it, and in the last week I've put 35 hours into the game, which is nuts for me. Like, I don't tend to just ignore life and play games like that anymore. So the game's really good if you haven't played it. But yeah, I've been mostly doing that. One thing that's a little exciting, I guess, maybe if you think about it this way, is the fact that as of Monday, the 28th of June, this past Monday, it's my 4-year anniversary at my job.
Whoa.
At my corporation. So it's 4 years. Been working at this job, and and tomorrow I have my annual review. It'll already have happened by the time you listen to this, but so I have my annual review. Usually they kind of talk about your strengths, your weaknesses over the year. There's usually some kind of like increase of some small percentage. But I don't know, like lately I've been thinking that maybe something big might be around the corner for me at this job. I don't know. They've been suddenly ramping up my responsibilities, like really recently. Within the last 2 weeks, they've just suddenly been like, hey Mike, you're gonna do all of this stuff now. And like, it's kind of the nature of the job. Like, when you do well, they just give you more to do. But like, there's been some tasks lately that definitely fit a certain role that I'm not currently in, that they've been providing for me. So, well, who knows? Maybe when we talk in 2 weeks from this podcast, I'll have great news, or I'll have mundane news. I'll be like, yeah, it was nothing. I was overthinking it. But you know, I sometimes at my job I just overthink everything, because working in a like big corporation America, you're never too sure where you're at on the ladder, or who's looking out for you, or who's out to get you. You kind of just got to play your cards close to the chest and do the best you can. But it's been a good job. I'm gonna leave the name out just because obviously not a sponsor.
Yeah,
we don't need to attach it, but like, it's been a good job, and it's been paying well. Help me and my wife buy our house. It's been great. So yeah, 4 years as of and what's crazy about that in it of itself is the fact that when I was younger, when I was like still in college, in art school, or even in high school, I would have argued or thrown fists arguing, saying that I was never going to be a pencil pusher working in a cube farm at any corporation. I was like, F the establishment. I'm gonna be my own person or whatever. And for a short while, obviously in my younger years, I did that as a touring musician and all this other stuff. But yep, guys, in my late 20s, I took the plunge into corporate America, drank the Kool-Aid, and I'm here for it, at least as long as it treats me well.
Yeah, I mean, even when you think about that type of stuff, I was always like, I'll never go to bed at 8 o'clock. Man, I can't wait to go to bed at 8 o'clock. I can't wait. But next
oh yeah, Monday. I mean, my schedule's crazy because I clock in at 6 a.m. And I work 10-hour days. Yeah. So like, I go to bed like on a Monday night typically, like I'm in the bed by like 8 o'clock. Oh yeah. And it's the only part of the job that makes me feel old, is the fact that I'm like going to bed and the sun's still out. Like, that's like weird. And I have to have my blinds pulled and stuff. But like,
I mean, you're probably usually on your phone for a little bit until you like
a little, a very little. But then I'll even take like melatonin gummies. And like, I'll take I'll take about 30 milligrams of melatonin, and then I'm just like out like a light.
Do you have like crazy dreams? Because usually when I take them,
they're wickedly vivid. They usually don't make any sense. They usually feel like video games, or like I'm stuck in like Blade Runner or something. And which is pretty cool. Like, they're very vivid when I take melatonin, which is interesting. I've actually like on some occasions I've actually written down like what I did in those dreams, because something about dreams has always like super intrigued me, because like I have a very small background in like meditation, and like what does it mean to like transcend into like a different like dimensional brainwave or whatever, like using different kind of like binaural beats when you're meditating and whatnot. And so like, when you think about it, when you're dreaming, you're kind of in that meditative state, right? So you're kind of existing, but not physically, right? You're existing in a upper dimensional place. I mean, or they're just blips and blops going on in my brain when I'm asleep, and it's all for nothing. I don't know. No one really knows.
Nope.
But Yeah, I mean, for sure, very vivid, very, very vivid, but not scary. At least not in a long time. Like it's been a very long time since I've had like a bad dream.
How many nightmares have you had in your life?
I mean, a few. Like I would say quite. I would say like in my entire life, quite a few.
Yeah,
None that really like. I don't think I've ever had one that like shook me to the core, like worried me the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But I've definitely like woken up and like, oh my god, what was that? Like, I've definitely woken up in a jolt. Then again, if my wife just bumps me when I'm sleeping, I sleep so like lightly that if anyone touches me while I'm asleep, I jump like I got electrocuted.
I've only ever had one, but it's surprising to me because I have an overactive imagination. So you'd think I'd be having nightmares at least once a month, but I've only had one. It was when I was younger, and I got chopped in half in like a Dragon Ball Z. It was in a Dragon Ball Z themed episode, and the guy was like,
not so bad. At least you were in.
I woke up like wild. Like I woke up in a cold sweat. Like I was like, what is wrong with me? Like thinking back that time, like that's just
like crazy. Honestly thinking back, like I really can't remember too many of like the bad ones that I've had. Mm-hmm. The only weird one that really sticks out in my head is I was definitely like young enough to still be losing teeth. And I remember like I had a loose tooth and I had this dream that all of my teeth fell out and like I swallowed them or something in my dream. And like one of them like got like fell off the bed or something, like spit it out and fell off the bed. And I remember waking up and immediately reaching my hand down the back of the bed trying to find my tooth that I had spat out. And like obviously it hadn't happened. And I was like, that's really weird. And like sure, you can look up like what does it mean if my teeth are falling out in my dream? And it's some like messed up stuff that like you got to deal with in life. But like I was young, so like none of that stuff really must have mattered because I was probably like 10 or 11 when that dream happened. Yeah, I mean, like, what did an 11-year-old really have to be worried about?
Like, oh, it's fear of losing your job, or like I used to.
I didn't have a job when I was 11.
That's the type of stuff it would say. Like I had a bad habit of looking up dreams because my mom was like, "Oh, we're Native American, that's in us," and I was like, "Oh crap! Like I gotta look up this dream. This happened, blah blah blah." And I would always think some crazy stuff. But
for sure. Life, man. And like and obviously, so besides all of that, besides all of this nonsense, as of when this comes out, this coming weekend on Sunday is 4th of July, right? So here in the United States, we try to kill ourselves by blowing up a lot of fireworks in our front lawns. We usually have barbecues and all of that to celebrate the Declaration of Independence, of leaving, the rule of the king from England and yada 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 back then. But we will talk about that a little bit later in the show. But super excited, just to have a good weekend. Hopefully the rain holds out and we can have some barbecues and stuff like that. But
happy 4th of July, everybody. Be safe. I'll say that at the top of the show. We'll probably say it at the end of the show too. But just in case you don't reach that end, we told you to be safe. Be careful with them fireworks. Also, something that passed, I feel like I should say it. Happy Juneteenth to everybody who now, you know, it's a national holiday, which is cool. A lot of things are going on like now in the world and everything else like that. But it's nice to hear some good coming from our governmenting stuff. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, with that all being said, we're going to take a quick break with a little message from our sponsor. We'll be right back after these messages.
And you can break it, David.
That was a solid 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That.
We're at 19. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, like that. Cool. So now we're just going to kind of fire run through this. Mm-hmm. Being told can't make money off video games. Okay.
A lot of this stuff's just
alternate reality rights. CERN. I'll put that in there.
Yeah, I'll let you head that one up.
It's gonna be. And then maybe just at the end of and we have it there too. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 big topics, and then we'll crush it down with the two questions, and then we'll be out of here. Cool.
Yeah, and we can kind of get the alternate reality in the government releasing things.
I'll bring it up because it in the article itself it said it apologizes for increases of UFO sightings, so it's a good segue. Yeah. All right, cool. So whenever you're how do you want to bring in this topic? Do you want me to address you, or do you just want to dive in on it?
I was gonna say I could bring us back in if you want me to.
Yeah. Do you do that? And then once you're done that, I'll find some segue at the end of what you're saying to bring it into.
I'll bring it back around.
All right.
Cool. And we're back. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everyone. We're happy to have you back. Hopefully you enjoyed that ad. But a little conversation that me and my neighbors have been having, because we got some new neighbors in. We let our dogs go out and play with each other, so we all sit around and talk. Really good people. I'm glad we're friends with them and everything. If you're listening to this podcast and somehow you found it, hi. But we were talking about how your parents said, "Oh, if you play video games, you'll never make it in life, or you'll never get a job," blah blah blah. And you know, looking at all these kids now making millions in tournaments, making millions off of streaming, making $1 million deals with companies that you would never think they would, such as Mountain Dew, you know, certain sports drinks and everything else like that, or even technology companies reaching out to them. I'm like, Mom, you lied. I could have been playing Call of Duty for the rest of my life and been good to go, but that was something we had a conversation about outside, and I was like, you know what? Let me bring it to the podcast. Mike, how do you feel about this, man? It's crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, like there's no one can argue that there is money to be made in video games these days. I mean, you know, no shade to your mom that said that, or anyone else who's ever told you that, but like, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And the older generation, our parents' generation, like their version of video games, if any, was very small. Was like, you know, classic Dig Dug, Galaga, Pac-Man, Pong, you know, the classic stuff that came out, you know, early mid late 80s and whatever, 90s. And so like back then, before the internet, like sure there were video games before the internet, but the internet didn't wasn't anything that you could profit from. And like, and a parent seeing you playing on your Nintendo 64, playing GoldenEye, in the basement, you know, trying to hit Oddjob in the head with a knife, you know, like that stuff. Like I could, you know, from a parent's perspective, you could say, oh yeah, you'll never make any money just doing that, right? But like we grew up with the internet, and now it's such a viable option that like it's undisputable. I mean, it's now a full sporting, esports is a real thing. Streaming video games is a real thing. Some streamers on Twitch or YouTube or wherever are can make actual full-time incomes solely off of streaming and playing video games at the same time. There's tournaments, just like you said. So I mean, even like obviously for those of you who have listened to the podcast all the way through, there's an episode a while back that was called Stepping Back. I think it might have been episode 7. Could be wrong. But it was on that episode, you know, we both, you know, realized that at the time that we had been streaming, that we wanted to take a step away to pursue other things, and that one thing was this. So can I say like, but before that, you know, when we were streaming, I know David received some money doing it. I know I was receiving regular income from streaming and playing video games. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think you could make money off of video games. And ever since the first, what was it, multi-million dollar win of Fortnite from the player Booga, you know, it changed everything. And that happened only like 2 years ago. So it's like knowing that it's possible to become that good at a video game where you can actually win like massive payouts. I think that ever since that happened, we've seen families or with kids who have sons or daughters who are heavily addicted to certain gaming. They've been like, wait a minute, if this like really young kid, I forget how old he was. I think he was just old enough to be in the competition.
Yeah, I think he was 18, because you had to be over. You had to be
you're right.
Over 18.
You have to be 18 year old to get the the cash prize. So he was like freshly 18 and he wins several $1 million for playing Fortnite. And like, you know, I have no shade towards Fortnite. I'm just not good at it. You know, if I was good at it, maybe, but I'm not. So it is what it is. But like seeing that was possible, and that was like, there have already been like competitions for Call of Duty, competitions for Halo. It was just, we've never seen such a large grand prize for any kind of game. You know, it's just never been that high. And so yeah, I definitely think that there is money in video games if you're willing, and if you're young enough, right? Because if you're young enough to have zero responsibilities in life, and other than doing your homework, and you have time to just socially exclude yourself to learn how these games work, I think there's a real career in that. In the same way that someone who wants to be great at basketball at a young age plays ball every day. They go to the gym. They probably are on a team. They're probably training constantly to become very good at basketball. In the same way that anyone would get good at a sport, people now, if they really want to, can choose to become really good at video games, and specifically the ones that have competition kind of built into them. There's definitely money to be made for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even when we were outside talking about it, I was sitting there like, think about 100 Thieves, think about FaZe Clan. These guys, like even Nadeshot's story, which his is more publicly out there than like FaZe Clan's. Like he worked at McDonald's. He literally played in a bunch of competitions. He did join an organization, which was Optic, and then he left from Optic and made 100 Thieves. This man, he now has clothing lines in 100. He does everything: content creation, streaming, like they do it all. And I'm kind of like, holy crap! And you know, even back then, looking at certain things, I don't know how old certain people are and everything, but if you remember these were the best Saturday mornings ever. Sometimes they would have Halo competitions on Spike TV. And I remember sitting there with my cousin and watching them, and we would get off and be like, all right, we're going to go play Halo right now, because they would have like multiplayer games, competitions coming here and there. And that's when I really started to get into Halo, because I think at that time it was only Halo 2 is when they were playing the certain competitions, everything, if I'm remembering the maps correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I was sitting there and showing my mom. She's like, oh, there's no way you could. And just thinking about it, I was like, damn, like there's been opportunities in my life as well as everybody else's, which you probably know, where like you could have been a big YouTube person if you would have stuck with it, big this and that. A lot of that stuff has happened, but looking back on those times and seeing that, I just remember getting up and hearing the announcers talking about the Halo competitions, and I was like, damn, like I wish I could be there. I really wanted to be like a part of a team or do something like that. And it's even funnier now, because a lot of kids today in school say, I want to be an influencer, I want to be an esports player, I want to be this or that. And you know, whenever I have a kid, if my kid comes and tells me like, yo dad, I want to be, best believe we're training every day and you better get it going. But other than that, I would love to hear that, and I would love to sit down with my kids, especially when they talk crap to me and they say, dad, we can beat you and your friends. I'm about to call up Mike and be like, yo man, they talking that mess, we gonna have to hop on, listen. And I'm about to show them really what it is. But guys, like that, you know, to anybody out there making money off of video games, we applaud you, we congratulate you, and anyone who's striving for that dream, keep going. There's some games out there that are really cool, as well as within Halo in alternate realities, just like Halo. Mike has a story for us, and I briefly heard about this, and I'm very intrigued, and we'll probably dive deep into it. Mike, give it to me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just like how parents might think it's a completely bonkers idea that we can make money off of video games. You know, let's talk about like our existence, right? Our reality. So like many of us who listen to the show, I am guilty of just wasting my day away on TikTok sometimes. And you know, sometimes you just fall into like a TikTok hole, and you're just scrolling and you're looking at stuff. And I don't know about you, but I've liked one too many aliens, conspiracy, whatever TikToks, and now I get some of like the really crazy tinfoil hat stuff. So in a story came across my TikTok feed referencing a article that was dated back in 2018. The article specifically, hold on, let me pull it back up here. It says, like, literally the title of the article is, sorry, but we accidentally ended the world in 2012. So some of you might already catch my drift about what this is, but that was admitted allegedly by one of the CERN scientists. Now these are the people that have the giant hadron collider that smash particles into each other. It's the most futuristic thing that exists on our planet. And they were able to witness what's known as the God particle or the Higgs boson. Anyway, found this article on my TikTok. I had to go search it up and just at least like learn a little more about what is going on. You know, there's apparently back in 2018 there was a big conference that was held about the Higgs boson, about talking about their findings and things like that. And the one of the scientists is quoted as saying, "We're really, really sorry about this whole mess, but we accidentally ended the world 7 years ago." And that's by CERN director General Rolf Dieter Hauer. He began by saying, "Yeah, we effed up, and we know it's probably a lot to take in, but right now, none of us technically exist. And I'm just like, what? Like, but the guy goes on, and the second quote he has here is this. I'm not sure if any of you have noticed the strange going-ons over the past few years, but we've shifted into a parallel universe. He told a now eerily silent media room. He says, think about Trump, the rise of the Kardashians, insane wars that don't make sense, increasing UFO sightings, unpredictable weather patterns. It's all our fault, and we're incredibly sorry for the 7.5 billion people now living here. Like, so if that's not it, like, enough, he even goes on to say on the final quote here, per this article, now we're not saying an invasion from strange alien beings is in the cards, but if you could begin to prepare for that kind of thing, that would be great. And it's just like, what? Like, so they're like, this article is basically saying that these scientists, when they discovered the Higgs boson particle by smashing it together, that a black hole basically formed and sucked all of us in existence into this parallel universe. So, I mean, like, this could be like this. I'll be the first one to admit on the podcast that this article is from a news outlet that I'm not familiar with. It's called waterforwhispersnews.com. Please feel free to tweet at us and tell me that this article's total BS. But either way, let's have that conversation right now, because I don't know. I can't remember back to 2012 specifically to think if I noticed a change in the day or bad weather or something on the day that they allegedly destroyed the world or something. But like, in terms of all of the crazy stuff that have happened in the last 9 years now, it's like, what, like it feels possible that this article has that the CERN art, because I remember before they turned on the Hadron Collider that there was like a lot of skepticism saying like, oh no, if they turn it on, they'll create a black hole and we'll all die. So people already had this thought like primed, right? But when you look at at least the last couple years, like the rise of cryptocurrency, first of all, the presidential election putting Trump in the White House, which nobody expected to really be pulled off. Obviously, yeah, like there's been some crazy things going on with like influencers that just seem kind of pointless. But obviously with the paranormal stuff going on, if you've been on TikTok anywhere close to a conspiracy TikTok, you've last year everyone was talking about like, ooh, the age of Aquarius and the big solar flares coming and 5D consciousness, this and that. And like, there's been a lot of bizarre things that have been going on over the past couple of years. And then COVID happens and the whole world shuts down, like, in a seemingly perfect place, lots of pointless wars. Don't even get me started on Jeffrey Epstein. Like, there's just so much going on that's a whole other episode in and of itself if we want to talk about that guy.
The new guy, the McAfee guy, just
oh yeah, and then John McAfee, the creator of almost everyone's antivirus software on their computers, suddenly, air quoting, hangs himself in a Spanish prison. Lots of really crazy stuff happening, like things that just almost seem like legitimately like a movie. And it just seems like we're just constantly getting like climatic arc after climatic arc. Right now we're at the tail end of the COVID arc, I guess. Previously it was the Trump arc, I guess. There's lots of different things, and now with these increased UFO sightings, like these CERN scientists said, we are now dealing with disclosure from the United States government releasing some documents, and like we said previously on the episode where it was first announced that it was coming out, we would bring you anything we could find in regards to it. But before we get there, David, what do you think, man? Are we in a different reality? Do you think like and also you've heard about the Mandela effect, where certain things just are different, that, or people will like argue that Berenstain Bears is actually spelled differently,
I still say Sinbad was in a movie called Shazam. I don't care what none of y'all say. I'm just saying.
I mean, maybe. I don't, like, there's lots of, like, there's like the Fruit of the Loom logo. That's different. There's lots of different logos that are suddenly different. And
like, I'm thinking back to 2012. I was in 11th grade. Because I was graduating in 2013. I mean, 11th grade, I started getting girlfriends. So we could be in a different dimension because I wasn't the most attractive dude. So I don't know. But in all seriousness, though, I'm trying to think back to like the certain things that were going on and everything else like that. I didn't really notice such a shift or change from what these guys are talking about. But there's always a couple things that I look at and I'm like, huh. And it kind of brings it into like that theory about how we're all living in a simulation and when we all die and everything else like that, blah, blah. And there are certain things I look at that happen in life and I'm like, that doesn't seem like that should happen. Like, it seems like someone's having the puppet strings and something more is happening and everything else like that. But just thinking about, like, and it's funny because whenever we think about the government going to come out and tell us something true, even if they told us something true, like, say if this was true or something, we wouldn't believe it. Because that's just how the world is and that's how, like, nations are. But, like, just think about someone coming out and saying, hey, we threw us into an alternate universe and we did it on accident.
Yeah, oops.
And then everyone would be like, there's no way. And, like, because the first question everyone's going to ask is, how can you prove that you did that? And it's kind of hard, but there is the Mandela effect. There is certain things that are going on where I'm like, holy shit, we are getting some stuff from the aliens, but I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like, maybe that this is a different reality. Maybe, and like, I guess there's two good ways to look at this. There's one in saying, if the world did end, and we got moved into a new reality, hey, we're still here, so that's cool, right? Still get to exist a little longer, even if it's in a different reality that's wildly messed up.
Thanos might be coming. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they'll fire it up again and we'll shift again, and maybe
that's what I want to see.
Maybe it's just gonna be like a grab bag of like, this reality sucks. Let's try to go to a different one.
That's the test I would love for them to do. Like, all right, we did it. We're gonna try and do it again. We're gonna see what happens. Then it's like it kind of brings into the Marvel's Avengers time travel thing, like, where there's different branches. There's still that through line, but we're branched. You know what I mean?
Well, at some point, the TV is going to show up and try to redirect us anyway, right?
And speaking of people who control the overall viewing of a population, we're going to get into this government stuff, guys.
Yeah. Let's dive in. Let's go.
We said we were going to do it. I'm going to tell you straight up from the top, guys. Don't get too excited. But there might be certain people out there who are really into UFOs, and this will really excite you because this truly means that the government doesn't know anything. And quote from IGN.com, long-awaited U.S. intelligence report about UFOs was largely inconclusive, unable to prove that unexplained aerial sightings were the last result of extraterrestrials or foreign militaries. That being said, they can't say it was UFOs or aliens, and they can't say it was Russia or China or anyone who's across the country that might be trying to war with us. So, the government did what the government did, like we said. They're going to kind of play it off nonchalantly, but at the same time, you ask me, they know. Come on now. The amount of things that crashed into the Earth, come on. Come on now.
Yeah. Like we said before. I mean, it says here 140 aerial phenomena recorded. Which is nuts, right? Obviously, I saw an article by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he was in an interview, and he was like bashing this evidence, saying like, he was given the argument like, we have such great cameras, how come all of these sightings are on terrible military like infrared cameras? Yep. He's got a point, but then again, I think that's the only stuff that we are allowed to see.
I will say, sorry to
no, you're good.
But I will say, because you just brought up a good point, there was a person on a podcast I was listening to, and he did divulge something small because he is in contact with the people. There's a person, the government does have like a UFO, like extraterrestrial section in the government. That's like UAPs and stuff like that. So there's a person that kind of sits at the front desk and talks to them about everything, whatever else like that. That's in layman's terms, guys. There's definitely more people in those departments and everything else like that. But the guy was talking about a video that has not surfaced, and no one can really believe him because we haven't seen it, but he's a credible source of a U.S. naval like ship. There's multiple ones flying around or like floating around. A ship goes into the water that they see, and it makes a splash, and it goes down, and it does not come back up. And it's not a aircraft they've seen. It's not any type of like Russian submarine. It's not. It literally came from the sky, splashed, and went down. And his main point was it splashed, like it made water come out. So it has to be real. It didn't phase through the ocean. So they clearly saw something, but the government has not released that footage. So thinking about that, a ship coming into our ocean and going down, a place where we can't even reach yet, really, to the depths that we can't even reach. They could already be here, hiding in the oceans. That's where I would hide, because there's nothing going on down there besides, who knows, monstrous sea creatures. But
I mean, you know, there are reasons why we stopped exploring our Earth's oceans, right? We decided not to go down too deep because, well, primarily because it's dangerous, right? We can't get down that far with the pressure right on us. But my question for that, because I have heard about this story, is that if these spaceships allegedly can create like their own gravity, right? They create like a bubble around their crafts that allow them to move in a frictionless environment, and somehow it's self-propelled. But if they're creating if they're essentially like bending like space-time around themselves to create this energy field that allows them to move, when they went into the water, I could understand a splash because it's still a physical object displacing water, which obviously would do that. But if it's creating its own essential atmosphere around its craft for how it moves, would it be affected by the pressure of the oceans?
I want to say
at the deepest level, right? That's what I'm thinking. I would think it would be safe. I would think it would be able to traverse at the deepest, darkest levels if it's already existing kind of outside of space in general, and not saying space as outer space, but in space as in space, like anywhere. So yeah, definitely something very interesting. But of course, we didn't get anything great.
We did not. I wanted that video. When he described that video, because there's people on the naval ship taking videos, but of course, since you're in the government, you're in the Navy, they're going to confiscate that type of stuff. And just thinking about, I mean, I'm gonna back up a little bit, guys. It was either going in or it was coming out and shot up. And I think it was the second one. I think it was the latter. But regardless, a ship coming from ocean or going into the ocean like that is ridiculous, because just like Mike said, we can't go down that far. It's very dangerous. We can't have human manned crafts go down that far, which after a while you need to, because we don't have the technology to keep reaching that device that's going to keep going down.
Right. So, let alone just traversing the air and the water. Yeah. Like we don't there isn't anything, at least in human existence or no, that can fly in the air and then just submerge itself like a submarine. Like that's
deep, that low.
Yeah. Right. That's some pretty wild stuff.
But guys, keep your you can kind of keep it cocked. Cock it to the side, like if you've ever seen that T.I. meme where his hat never falls off. We're gonna get into some other stuff, guys. The Dragon Man. Right.
So this is pretty cool, right? I have an article here about it. Yeah, I mean, like this is pretty sweet. Like, so the article I'm looking at is on Yahoo News, and it says a gigantic fossilized skull that was hidden in a well in China for 90 years has been discovered by scientists and is making humans rethink evolution, which is pretty wild. They go on to explain that it's due to the remarkable size and the brow. If you get a chance to just Google it, dragon skull, it'll come up. Dragon man skull or something. It's 9 inches long and is more than 6 inches wide. Now, I was trying to like gauge that myself, and I was like, maybe my head's that big or something.
Mike, your head's not that big. Don't worry, man. No matter what your wife says, your head's not that big. It's hard.
Yeah, right. But it's because of those sizing that they're able to say it's significantly larger than the modern human skull. And that's just like crazy. And other than the fact that they said the cranial capacity, right, is approximately 1,420 milliliters or 48 fluid ounces. which actually falls in the range of the modern human. So this whatever being this was that had this crazy large skull, it still had a normal sized brain, like the brain of a
They had
typical
our
human.
brain.
So
Yeah.
that kind of leads the conversation towards, like, what were they capable of? Obviously, if there's one, there's got to be more of these somewhere, whether they're buried deep or they're being hidden by government agencies because we weren't ever supposed to find this. But the only thing I can think of is, as far as like why the skull was so big, I'd be mostly interested to know like how thick the skull wall was. I don't think this article says, because like it seems like it would have been for protection, right? They would have used their head. They would have hit things with their head, maybe, if their head was that dense, for having the same inner cavity as the common human, right? But yeah, they're saying it's like the missing link almost, or it's like um, but because I guess the brow line and like the size of like the eyes, maybe, that it resembled a dragon, or some kind of reptile, which, don't even get me started on talking about reptilian, aliens,
Guys,
and things like that. Like maybe this is 100% evidence of reptilians, ancient reptilians on our planet. Who knows? I don't know.
wait till October, guys. We're gonna get crazy.
I think we're controlled by lizards, but that's besides the point.
Jesus. But yeah, even in this article that I'm reading, it said it was originally uncovered in 1933. So we've had this for a while, and I guess they've been, chipping at it and making sure like they can look at it in a certain way, because science always gets better and changes over years to be able to see things. So, but I also heard something else about like us as Homo sapiens and like the other, ape species that were kind of around us, and a lot of the theory is that we killed them off. So, like, and it makes sense. Like, that is our human nature, is to conquer and do whatever. And I wholeheartedly agree with that, and I definitely believe that definitely happened, because if you look at all the land, and us being separated by certain nations, and certain land masses and everything else like that, it always comes back to us being violent between each other, whether it's territorial or anything else like that. But some other interesting facts: scientists believe that it's Homo longi, or longi, HOMOLONGI is the name, which is named after the Chinese word long for dragon, lived in East Asia approximately 146,000 years ago. So think about that, guys. Crazy. Which is closely related to the Homo sapiens in the Netherlands. So it's just, and it brings back to me and Mike's point, where we always talk about how different human species are in different lands, but have the same type of things going on, whether it's, bodily imagery or drawings on certain things. It's just funny to see these like things that keep popping up. We probably won't see another thing for at least another maybe like 70 years, where we can maybe tie it straight back to certain things with science like improving and everything else like that. But very, very interesting, guys. I would also recommend doing your own research. Me and Mike are giving you the loose.
Loose oh yeah,
stories.
we are the furthest thing from experts on any of these topics. We just find them interesting, and enjoy the conversation around them.
But with that being said, whether you're a Homo sapien or a Homo longi, you still got to listen to this ad, and we'll be right back after this break. Alrighty. And you can cut it, dude.